1950, North Carolina. Two faucets, two worlds, one shame.
Welcome to Eternal Moments. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Start.
In 1950, President Harry Truman, still in office, returned to his hometown of Independence, Missouri, to exercise his right to vote like any ordinary citizen. This image captures him in a voting booth, reminding the country that democracy is lived, not just directed. Truman, known for bold decisions like the use of the atomic bomb and the Marshall Plan, continued to rely on the power of the vote. A simple yet symbolic moment, the leader of the free world waiting his turn like any of us. In 1950, a brave African-American man stood alone in the middle of a Ku Klux Klan rally in Jackson, Mississippi, defying hatred with his very presence. He didn't scream, he didn't run, he didn't hide. He was simply there, a silent symbol of resistance. Surrounded by white robes and torches, his figure stands out more than any uniform. It was an act of pure courage, an image that says what words cannot. Dignity never kneels before fear. Before AutoCAD, urban planners in the 1950s created entire cities by hand, with rulers, ink, and millimeter-perfect patience. Each drawn line represented a street, a park, or an urban dream, with no Control-Z option. This team, surrounded by giant plans and compasses, built the future with the firm pulse of the present. It was art, science, and architecture dancing on paper when every stroke was final. Amid the chaos of the Korean War, this image captures a moment of humanity. One soldier embracing another, broken by pain or fear. It could have been during the fierce Battle of Pusan Perimeter, where the Allied forces held out on the brink of collapse. Regardless of the exact location, the photo became a symbol of the emotional toll of war and the brotherhood between combatants. More than a war scene, it is a silent cry of empathy between men facing hell together. In this 1950 photo, the legendary Ernest Hemingway poses aboard his yacht, Pilar, where rum, tuna, and ideas sailed together. He was more than a writer. He was a living myth, a hunter of stories and giant fish in the Caribbean. Between the sea and the typewriter, Hemingway found his balance, always on the edge of adventure. He's not writing here, but he was surely already living the next novel. In 1950, troops from the newly established Chinese Communist government lined up to invade the isolated and spiritual Tibet, marking the beginning of an occupation that would change the history of the region. The image shows discipline and strength, but also the prelude to an ancient culture under threat. As the soldiers marched, the world was just beginning to understand the scope of this expansion. It was the clash between the power of the state and the identity of a people who refused to disappear quietly. In the midst of the First Indochina War, these two French legionnaires pose in Vietnam, 1950, with tired eyes and steady rifles. They faced a war that already smelled of defeat, in a foreign land they didn't fully understand. Photographer Harrison Foreman captured not just soldiers, but men trapped in the twilight of colonialism. Amid the mud and the jungle, history was already changing, and they were part of the epilogue. In 1950, the White House was reduced to its outer shell during the ambitious renovation ordered by Truman. The floors creaked, the walls buckled, and the symbol of American power was on the verge of collapse. It was a total reconstruction. The heart of the building was emptied to save its soul. A striking image that shows that even the most steadfast icons need renovation from within. On November 3, 1950, in Bayonne, New Jersey, the majestic USS New Jersey, BB-62 was brought back to life to face the Korean War. A sailor carefully inspects the mechanism of one of its powerful 16-inch guns, true titans of the sea. Every detail counted. A minimal flaw could make all the difference in battle. It was war engineering at its finest, where steel and precision sailed together. January 1944, a Soviet soldier unleashes his fury on a portrait of Adolf Hitler in the liberated city of Gatchina, near Leningrad. It's not just a symbolic act, it's a palpable victory after years of siege, death, and brutal resistance. Each blow to the painting is a slap in the face to the Nazi occupation, a belated but ferocious relief. In that instant, art no longer imitates life,
In 1946,
it destroys it.
a V-2 rocket captured the first image of Earth from space, a revolutionary feat thanks to engineer Clyde Holliday. He envisioned a future where every corner of the planet could be mapped with this technology, anticipating the era of satellites and Google Earth. This photo marked the beginning of a new perspective, seeing our home as a whole, fragile and beautiful, suspended in immensity, a moment that forever changed the way we understand our place in the universe. In this playful photo from the late 1950s, Colin Powell was ahead of his time with a selfie, long before smartphones and social media existed. With his confident smile, he reminds us that self-expression was not born with Facebook, but with authentic people in any era. This spontaneous gesture captures a young man with a bright future, ready to make his mark on world history. A throwback that blends humor, nostalgia, and a lesson. Authenticity always finds its way. In September 1950, Captain Francis Fenton's weary face reflects the weight of a near impossible mission. His company, exhausted and with barely any supplies, had to continue facing North Korean troops on No Name Ridge. That expression is a stark testament to sacrifice and determination amid the chaos of the Korean War. More than fatigue, there is a mixture of uncertainty and courage that only leaders know on the battlefield. A photo that captures human fragility when war gives no respite, but duty does not allow surrender. In 1950, after 5 years of U.S. occupation, the Japanese newspaper Asahi Press organized the America Fair to bring American culture to locals. Attractions included large-scale models, such as an impressive replica of Mount Rushmore, an iconic symbol of the United States. It was a cultural bridge in times of Reconstruction, seeking to understand and perhaps reconcile two worlds. An event where history, politics, and curiosity converged in one place. In 1950, during the brutal Korean War, 22-year-old Corporal Leonard Hayworth collapsed in tears after running out of ammunition and losing almost his entire unit. The photo, captured by renowned photographer David Douglas Duncan, reveals the raw and heartbreaking human cost of combat. Hayworth, caught between duty and despair, is the vulnerable face of a soldier facing the harshest reality. Tragically, his story ended on the battlefield, but his emotion was immortalized as a reminder of the true price of war. Between 1950 and 1969, in the frozen wilderness of Alaska, an Eskimo symbolically entered the mouth of a whale, an act steeped in ancient meaning. This image captures the profound connection between man and nature, where survival depends on respect and harmony with the environment. It's a moment that speaks of ancient traditions and the courage to face the immensity of the Arctic. A scene that seems like something out of a myth, but it is the harsh and beautiful reality of a culture that endures against all odds. On December 4, 1950, under fire and fear, desperate civilians climb and crawl across a destroyed bridge over the Taedong River, fleeing south to escape the Chinese offensive in Pyongyang. Photographer Mark Desver's image captures the chaos and urgency of a people caught in the maelstrom of the Korean War. Every face reflects the struggle for life amidst ruins and imminent danger. a moment frozen in time that reveals the human impact behind battles and borders. In the 1950s, American teenagers experienced their first loves amid the neon lights and the aroma of hamburgers from traditional diners. This image captures the innocence and emotion of those encounters, where every glance and smile could be the beginning of an unforgettable story. Between jukeboxes and sodas, the diner became the perfect setting for dreaming about the future. A vibrant portrait of a youth filled with hope and the magic of everyday life. In 1950, an iron worker walks with a sure stride across a beam suspended at dizzying heights in New York City. Amid the urban noise and bustle, his balance and courage were the invisible foundation of the skyscrapers that defined an era. Without harnesses or nets, each step was a dance with danger, an act of pure confidence in their abilities. An image that celebrates the unsung heroes who built the skyline of an unstoppable metropolis. Amid the din of the Korean War in 1950, a priest offers communion to American soldiers, offering them a moment of peace and hope. That sacred gesture, amid the noise and fear, was a spiritual refuge for those facing the uncertainty of battle. Faith becomes an invisible shield that accompanies the soldier beyond the battlefield. An image that reminds us that, even in war, humanity seeks solace and strength in the intangible. In 1950, even a public restroom in North Carolina can tell stories about everyday life and the social tensions of the time. Elliott Erwitt's photography captures a common space, yet one filled with details that reflect the norms, segregations, and peculiarities of the time. A simple place that, under the lens, becomes a silent witness to modern history. Because sometimes the most mundane things reveal the deepest chapters of a society. In 1950, in East Germany, young pioneers fervently greet a portrait of Joseph Stalin, a symbol of Soviet power and communist influence. The accompanying text praises Stalin as the best friend and helper of the German people, reflecting the propaganda and loyalty imposed in the post-war period. This image shows how ideology shaped the new generations under the weight of an authoritarian regime. A frozen moment reveals the clash between hope, control, and the construction of a new political order. In 1950, as the 1st Cavalry advanced toward Pyongyang, Private Willie M. Nixon received treatment for a hand wound, reflecting the human cost of the offensive. Hank Walker's photo shows the contrast between the military advance and the fragility of the body in midst of combat. Each soldier was simultaneously strength and vulnerability, facing an enemy and the wounds left by war. An intimate moment amid the roar of battle, where survival becomes the primary objective. In 1950, in the midst of the atomic age, and amidst the fascination with nuclear technology, the peculiar Miss Atomic Bomb pageant was born, celebrating the power and fear of the atomic bomb with a touch of glamour. The winner, with her radiant smile, embodied that strange blend of patriotic pride and the anxiety of an era marked by the Cold War. This event reflected how popular culture transformed the nuclear threat into an almost festive and surreal symbol. A photo that captures the spirit of the 1950s, bold, contradictory, and full of paradoxes. Between 1949 and 1954, the Capitol Hill area of Nashville underwent a radical transformation under the Urban Renewal Program promoted by the Housing Act of 1949. What seemed like progress for the city meant forced displacement for thousands of poor and minority families who lost their homes and communities. The before and after photo reveals not only new buildings, but also the invisible traces of social injustice. A reminder that urban development is often accompanied by stories of loss and resilience. In December 1950, during the fierce Battle of Chosin Reservoir, U.S. Marines watched as an F-4U Corsair dropped napalm on a Chinese position. The scene, colorized to relive that moment, depicts the brutal intensity of a battle marked by extreme cold and desperation. The fire and smoke symbolize destruction, but also the unwavering determination of soldiers caught in one of the harshest episodes of the Korean War. An image that blends military technology and human valor at a critical moment. In October 1950, at the historic Wake Island Conference, President Harry Truman and General Douglas MacArthur shook hands, a moment charged with power and tension.
It was the alliance and the clash between political and military leadership during the Korean War, with the fate of Asia at stake. This photo immortalizes the formality and gravity of decisions that would shape the course of the conflict and world history. A handshake that symbolizes both cooperation and future disagreements in a divided world. In the late 1950s, at Walt Disney Animation Studios, a creative team brought the iconic 101 Dalmatians to life with passion and artisanal precision. Between sketches, paintings, and models, a story was woven that would mark a turning point in traditional animation. This photo reveals the collaborative soul and talent behind the magic that would later captivate millions. A glimpse into the creative heart where fantasy began to take shape in every stroke and smile.
In 1950s Ireland, this image captures a simple and warm moment. A father and son sharing a pint in a Dublin pub. More than a drink, it's a tradition that unites generations through laughter, stories, and shared silences. The sparkle in their eyes reflects the strength of family ties in times of change and challenge. An intimate portrait that celebrates everyday life and the importance of small moments together. In the early 1950s, the city of Stockholm, Sweden was being transformed underground with the construction of its iconic metro. This photo shows workers paving the way for a future that would connect neighborhoods and lives in the Swedish capital. Amidst dust and steel, an engineering feat was being created that today is a symbol of modernity and efficiency. A key moment when the city was committed to progress and urban mobility. In the cold dawn of January 1st, 1950, a young American soldier's face shows the deep fatigue and pain after the intense fighting on the front lines of Daegu, Korea. Between tears and exhaustion, his humanity emerges amidst the desolation of war, reminding us that behind the uniform lies a story of sacrifice. This image captures the harshness of a conflict that forever marked those who experienced it firsthand, a poignant moment that speaks louder than any words about the price of combat. Around 1950, Milan's Piazza del Duomo vibrated with the life and rebirth of a city rebuilding after the war. The majestic Gothic cathedral stood imposing, a silent witness to ancient stories and new hopes. Between tourists, vendors, and residents, the square was the beating heart where tradition and modernity met, a setting that captured the Italian soul in the midst of its transition to the future. In 1950, amid the space race and the fascination with Soviet technology, the curious figure of Miss Sputnik emerged in France, an unexpected symbol of the atomic age and global competition. With an air of futuristic elegance, this image reflects how popular culture absorbed and reinterpreted major political and scientific events. Miss Sputnik embodied the mix of admiration and fear generated by the Soviet Union's technological advancement. A portrait that blends glamour, propaganda, and the spirit of a decade filled with tension and space dreams. In 1950, the legendary Dione quintuplets posed for this iconic photo in New York, capturing the curiosity and admiration they sparked around the world. Born in Canada in 1934, they were the first quintuplets to survive and grow up together, becoming a media and cultural phenomenon. The image reflects both childhood innocence and the weight of fame imposed on them from a very young age. A portrait that recalls the mix of miracle, exploitation, and the complexity of childhood in the public eye. In segregated Tennessee in the 1950s, the Memphis Zoo imposed cruel rules. It only allowed colored people in on Thursdays of each week. This photo is a visual testament to the racial barriers that divided even recreational and natural spaces, an unjust reality that exposed the systematic segregation in everyday life in the American South. An image that recalls how hard it was to fight for equality and dignity in dark times. In 1950, the streets of Japan teemed with life and movement as the country began its astonishing process of post-war reconstruction.
This image shows a vibrant scene with pedestrians, vendors, and vehicles filling every corner with urban energy. Between tradition and modernity, everyday life was intertwined with the hope for a renewed future. A frozen moment that captures the dynamic pulse of a nation in the midst of transformation. In 1950, the legendary Maracano Stadium hosted the World Cup final between Brazil and Uruguay, a duel still remembered as the largest in history, with more than 173,000 official spectators and up to 200,000 according to some estimates. The passion and tension in the stands were palpable, as an entire country dreamed of glory. What no one expected was Brazil's historic defeat, a blow that would mark generations. A photo that captures not just a match, but an epic event where football and emotion merged forever.
In 1950, this couple climbs into their iconic BMW Isetta, a small car that revolutionized urban mobility with its original front entrance. Stylish and practical, this microcar symbolized post-war Europe and the search for smart solutions for everyday life. More than a vehicle, it was a declaration of independence and modernity in a time of reconstruction. An image that blends tenderness, innovation, and the charming simplicity of an unforgettable era. In 1950, on the remote Chukchi Peninsula, a Soviet soldier stars in an unusual scene, feeding a polar bear, the frozen king of the Arctic. Amidst the white immensity and the extreme cold, this encounter reflects the strange coexistence between humans and wild nature in inhospitable lands. A photo that blends tenderness and power, showing an unexpected side of military life on the coldest frontier on the planet. A unique moment where the ice melts, if only for a moment. In 1950, the town of Ellington, South Carolina was destroyed to make way for the Savannah River Site, a key nuclear weapons manufacturing facility during the Cold War. This memorial next to the city limit sign, erected by a resident, is a silent and powerful tribute to a community wiped out by the military advance. An image that reflects the human and social cost of the arms race, where progress was paid for with loss and displacement. An eternal reminder that behind every project are lives forgotten. In 1950, in the Haktongni area during the Korean War, an American soldier, broken by grief after the death of his friend, is comforted by a comrade. The powerful and silent image conveys the emotional intensity of combat beyond the bullets, the trauma of losing those who fight beside you. There are no words, only a human gesture in the midst of hell, where brotherhood is the only possible relief. An unforgettable portrait of the invisible cost of war, the weight of grief in real time. In 1950, in Ann Arbor, Michigan, a charismatic drum major from the University of Michigan Marching Band leads a joyful line of children through the streets. With his impeccable uniform and baton raised, he transforms a simple walk into a parade filled with rhythm and smiles. The scene radiates community, local pride, and that unique charm of mid-century America. A touching moment where music unites generations in a spontaneous choreography of joy. Between 1946 and 1950, King Frederick IX of Denmark broke royal molds by proudly displaying his naval tattoos, a reflection of his past as a naval officer. Unlike the classic image of European royalty, Frederick embraced a more down-to-earth identity, authentic and unpretentious. His tattoos were not rebellious, but symbols of experience, service, and character forged at sea. An image that humanizes the crown and reveals a monarch who carried history in his skin. In January 1950, a group of Nepalese porters incredibly transports a Rolls-Royce on wooden poles across a remote river,
This surreal image shows the clash between colonial luxury and the physical reality of a country without modern roads. Every step was a feat, carrying not only a car, but the weight of an era of extreme contrasts. A striking portrait of human ingenuity and the absurd demands of power in the most isolated corners of the world. In 1950, in the majestic Banff National Park, Conrad O'Brien French, explorer, MI6 agent, and veteran of 2 world wars, calmly grates a bear as if it were an old friend. Having faced spies, trenches, and the brutality of the world, this moment reflects his bold, almost reckless character. The photo, taken by his wife, Rosalie French, captures not only a wild encounter, but also the essence of a man who never feared the unknown. A serene moment between legend and nature, where even danger seems to surrender to his presence.
In 1950, a Frenchman tastes Coca-Cola for the first time, and his expression says it all. Curiosity, surprise, and perhaps a little bewilderment. It was more than a drink. It was the taste of America, reaching Europe with bubbles of pop culture and capitalism. In an era marked by Reconstruction and American influence, even a sip could be symbolic. A simple image that captures the moment the world began to globalize, gulp by gulp. In 1950, Chicago's railroads were the beating heart of transportation in the United States, connecting coasts, cities, and dreams through steel. The city was a vital hub where the whistle of locomotives marked the rhythm of commerce and progress. This image shows the industrial might of an era that moved on rails, powered by coal, steam, and ambition. A glimpse into the past where every train was a symbol of movement, expansion, and modernity. In 1945, this astonishing image was captured a millionth of a second from the blast and 2 miles away during one of the first U.S. nuclear tests. It is the exact instant when physics turns to fury. A sphere of fire and pure energy expanding with lethal precision. More than an explosion, it is the visual birth of the atomic age, where science crossed the threshold of absolute power. A photo that impresses with its beauty and the terror it represents. In 1950, Elliott Erwitt captured a simple but heartbreaking scene in North Carolina. 2 water fountains, one for whites and one for coloreds, separated by racism. The image, direct and silent, reflects the harshness of segregation in daily life in the American South. Without explicit violence, it conveys a deeply rooted injustice normalized by the society of the time. A photograph that speaks powerfully and forces us to face the traces of the past.